Defective Vampires channel. I'm Beck, the person who runs this channel. Anyway, all music in my live videos and my art streams are courtesy of Cyphers Wolf. Link to his Bandcamp in the description. Also, a list of the songs used will be there too. Thank you for watching. Hello, this is Beck, a defective vampire, and this is Rainey. Come here. This is my fiance. Hello. She woke up not long ago. I'm sorry. Today we're going to do measurements for our various wedding stuff. Note that her measurement, she needs a lot more measurements than I do. I just need waist, bust, hip, because I'm just making a vest and a shirt from patterns. I'm actually drafting part of the pattern for one of her dresses, so I need a lot more measurements to be precise with that, especially because it's kind of form-fitting in the top. Okay, first off, we need neck. Come here. We're going to do imperial and metric, because some of the patterns, looking at you American patterns, require imperial measurements. Meanwhile, it's way easier to draft patterns in metric. So, got my handy dandy measuring tape, which has both imperial and metric on this side. And mushroom again, and notebook that I want to use for physics. But physics is dead to me now because I passed that class. Ha 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 ha. No more physics. Just kidding, it was actually a pretty fun class. Okay. So your neck measurement. Back to get your hair out of the way. You should go ahead and keep it out. Okay. You just pulled me apart. Okay, bust measurement. You have your arms up to the side. And when you're measuring circumferences around things, you generally want it to be even, and I'll actually be able to use the webcam to see if I'm being even without actually. I know that I'm really doing that. And to measure at the widest point in the bust. Which is also usually around the nipple. Yeah, just so you know. Okay, now for waist. Waist is, the technical definition of waist depends on whether you're measuring for men's or women's clothing, but for women's clothing at least, it is when you tie something around your waist and wiggle, it's where it falls. The thinnest part of your waist. Usually, in female-bodied people, like around the belly button, usually in men, maybe a little above or below that. Sometimes you can feel where your waist is, sometimes you can. If you are of a body type where you can't actually just do the wiggle thing, then your belly button just takes that. Unless your instructions tell you otherwise. Because some do. But the standard measurement is, if you're like me and you have a bit of a belly though, the belly button is not always your upset. Then it makes the belly button turn down lower. Never mind, consult other guys if you are of a body type that does not make it easy to measure your waist. Okay, hip. That's the widest part where your butt sticks out. Some people think it's like on your hip bone. No, it's actually below where the widest part of your butt is. Oh, by the way, you better be like close to whoever you're like emotionally close to whoever you're measuring or whoever's measuring you. Or be okay with being gross because this is going to happen. You're going to get gross. And it's not intentional most of the time. I used the wrong end with this measuring tape. Be careful about using the wrong end because otherwise you'll get something that's like 16 inches. How does that work? That doesn't seem right. With common sense, people, let's make sure that okay. I have to measure that again because I am a goldfish and forgot what the metric measurement was. I thought you were a rabbit. Hush. Remember not to measure too tight. The number may make you feel better if you measure it tight, but then the clothes won't fit. So just accept whatever number you get.
And it's better to round up than round down.
Yeah.
Like if you get something in like 5/8 of an inch, just round up to the next inch. Or 1/4 of an inch depending on what you're doing.
Well, if you're measuring, you want to be as precise as possible, usually to at least the 1/4 inch. But 1/8 of an inch is even better. But when you're picking patterns, something like that, round up what your actual measurement is to see what the size is, because you can always take something in. You can't really just add more fabric.
Yeah.
When you work in costuming and other things like that, you learn how to make things work even if you screw up, because a lot of learning how to sew is not really so much learning the techniques, because you can only learn the techniques really so far. The rest of it is learning to hide your mistakes. Turn your mistakes into a feature. That sort of thing. Like one time I was making some dresses for these girls, but they lived in Canada, and there was absolutely no way that I could have them tried on before they had to wear it. So I got their measurements from them, hope for the best, hope that they measured properly, did all the sewing, and realized that I hadn't allowed for enough seam allowance when I was constructing the pattern. So by the time it had all the layers in it and all the boning in the bodice, it was too small. It would not have fit on them if they had put a zipper in there like I had originally intended. So I stuck grommets in the back instead and made it a corset back dress. And was like, that was totally on purpose. But yeah, you learn how to do things like that. But with this, I've already really designed it a lot, and there's not much fudging that I could do if I screw up. Most of this fabric is way too nice for me to be able to fudge it. Okay. I'm gonna scratch that because that's actually the same thing. Neat. to waist. Your nape of your neck is, you know that little triangle there? That's the nape, right there, the bottom of the triangle. Find your triangle. And where was the waist measurement? Here. Shoulder, you go from neck to the point of your shoulder. There you go, usually. And your back measurement is not measuring down your back. What it actually is, and some things will be due like back of the neck to waist or back of the hip or whatever to like determine garment length by the length. What this back measurement is actually okay, we're back. Technical difficulties. Okay, measuring the back is not simply measuring the bust and being like, divide that by 2. That doesn't work that way. You measure actually around the back, because if you have boobs of any kind, it's going to make it bigger in the front and the back. So dividing it by 2 will just make it the seam go like that. Or like that. Like that. It's not going to work correctly. The seam will not be in the correct place if you don't use the correct measurements. I generally want to be around the bust point line, pointy part of the basically. Now the chest measurement is not actually around your boobs. It's actually right over them. Over them, but still under your arm. And to the same point where you measured, like, beginning and end of that. Front row and the front. Yeah, you should probably raise your sorry. And then the last thing we need for the bodice block pattern drafting technique that I'm going to link in the description. The last thing we need is arm scythe depth, but that is way easier to just estimate using their formula. Next video, I'm going to actually draft the bodice. Then I have to add the little neck thing. But first I need to draft the block and then do my bullshitting around. Yeah, magic. That's what we're gonna call it. Hope for the best. That's closer. Anyway, see you next video.